Hello, everyone. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This is an interview with Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Before we get started, let me tell you about Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and become a member of Astral Club on Patreon, you certainly can do so. When you join, you get the chat function so you can chat with everybody else, direct mail to me for your questions and comments, and advanced podcasts on Sunday. The link is in the description. Next up, astral projection lessons. I've worked with folks now all over the world. We've had some great success. If you'd like a lesson, all you have to do is go down to the description. There's an email there. Just request more information. And lastly, spiritual counseling. If you have had experiences that trouble you that you can't discuss with your friends or family for fear of judgment or disbelief, you can always talk with me. Chances are I've had similar experiences, and I have an open mind and I don't judge. If you're interested, just go down to the description and ask for more information on the email. Okay, an interview with Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Now, this has been, I love history, and I've studied Roman history and all about the wars of Rome, including those against Cleopatra and Mark Antony. So this was a bit of a treat for me. And what's amazing is even though the events of their lives happened over 2,000 years ago, everybody, still knows their names, which is pretty amazing. I don't think anyone's going to remember my name 2,000 years from now. So let's get into it. Now, sometimes I will use the names that are anglicized, like Julius Caesar or Mark Antony. But sometimes I'm going to go ahead and use their actual Latin names, which would be Marcus Antoninus or Julius Caesar, just so you know I'm talking about the same people. But I don't know, I'm a stickler for accuracy. It always bothers me when someone changes someone's name. At any rate. Okay, a dreamscape suspended between time and eternity, twilight skies above the Nile, winds carrying whispers of ancient secrets. I sat in a moonlit pavilion after I'd willed myself to that area. Anyway, this pavilion was of alabaster and gold, floating on still waters that shimmered like polished obsidian. Keep in mind, this is on the astral, people. It's something that once existed in the physical, but no longer. It's maybe ruins, perhaps, but in the astral, on a certain level, it still exists. I summoned the great queen of the Nile, and she appeared radiant and sharp, the air around her thick with the aura of mystery and sadness. Cleopatra the seventh, Philopator, last pharaoh of Egypt, wore a linen gown and a crown inset with turquoise and garnet. Her eyes were kohl-lined, but her gaze needed no adornment. Piercing, perceptive, and heavy with the weight of history. Now, I'm going to be honest here. Do I think Cleopatra was a great beauty? By my estimation, no. I would call her, from a physical beauty standpoint, rather average. Her nose was a bit, large. However, it was her presence that seized the room, that captivated my gaze. She just had this aura around her. And in life, she was the first Greek pharaoh of Egypt that actually spoke Egyptian. She also spoke numerous other languages too. So she was very intelligent, very talented, and a very powerful personality. So that's what attracted me. And I imagine that's what attracted Julius Caesar or Julius Caesar and Mark Antony or Marcus Antoninus. Okay, Your Majesty, thank you for joining me. The world still speaks your name. Why do you think that is? She smiled faintly. Because Rome wrote me in ink, and Egypt carved me in stone. But neither told the full truth. I am remembered not just because of what I did, but because men feared the idea of me, a woman with power, a woman who chose her lovers, her wars, and her death. Let's keep in mind that 2,000 years ago in Rome, women were definitely second-class citizens. They didn't hold powerful positions. Now, there were some other kingdoms, a few of them, that did have female leaders, but they were held with suspicion by people like Rome, and they were made the what patriarchy in Rome very uncomfortable with the idea of a woman holding that amount of power. What the Romans would often do is start rumors about Cleopatra, for instance, about her sexual escapades and saying that she was promiscuous. And so what they were doing is they were trying to bring her down because they were uncomfortable with the idea of a woman having that level of power. Okay, I went on. You're often remembered through the lens of your relationship with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, or Marcus Antoninus. Do you think that overshadows your legacy? Completely. I was a ruler before I was ever a consort. I spoke 9 languages. Wow. I stabilized a broken economy, protected Egypt's independence longer than anyone thought possible, and led a navy against the most powerful empire the world had seen. But history adores scandal more than strategy. Well, what do you think modern people misunderstood most about you? That I was desperate, that I clung to men for power. I used men who thought they were using me. She was very clever. Caesar needed Egypt's grain. Antoninus needed her ships. I gave them both, and in return, I bought time. Time for my son Cesarion. Time for my kingdom. Time to choose how I would die, not how they would make me live. The world has been obsessed with the mystery of your final resting place. Can you tell me where you were buried? Beneath the temple of Taposiris Magna, west of Alexandria, near the sea. I had it prepared during my lifetime. Hidden chambers beneath the sanctuary of Isis. Marcus Antoninus is with me. We are together in death, though not in the melodrama the poets imagined. There was no asp, no golden couch. I died in silence, on stone cooled by the sea breeze. But they've searched there. Excavations haven't found you. With a little smile she gave me. They dig with reason. They must dig with dream. The door lies not in sand, but in water. The temple shifted in the quake after my death. What once stood proud now lies partially buried and partly submerged. My tomb is there, waiting beneath silt and secrets. What would you say to those who still search for you? I never left. I am in the Nile's breath, in the papyrus whispers, in the desert's hush at dusk. But if you find me, tread gently. I died so my story would not be written by my enemies. Do not let discovery become conquest. Is there anything else you wish to say? Only this. I was not the serpent you were taught to fear. I was the sun's daughter, the last voice of a dying world. When my tomb is opened, let it not be a trophy, but a whisper, reminding you that even empires end, and what survives is not gold, but memory. That was the end of my talk with the great Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra. Next is my interview with the spirit of Mark Antony, or Marcus Antoninus. I just love Latin names. That's why I keep saying them. At any rate, okay, I found myself in a quiet, moonlit villa on the Palatine Hill, Rome. Though long in ruins in the material world, the spirit realm remembers its grandeur. Marble pillars rise intact, and the scent of the Mediterranean herbs mingles with the cool night air. A spirit cloaked in indigo and gold sits at a stone table. The air grows still. A shimmering figure steps from the shadows. Marcus Antoninus, triumvir of Rome, general, orator, lover of Cleopatra, I thank you for your presence. Titles are poor armor for the soul, yet here I am. Rome does not forget me, even if she only half forgives. Mark Antony, I would estimate he was somewhere around 5'8", maybe 5'9". He had curly black hair, and he was obviously a well-muscled man who fought hard. I saw some light scars on his body, so this is a warrior here, and he certainly looked the part. He impressed the heck out of me. History has painted you with bold strokes as a reckless hedonist, a tragic lover, a failed rival to Augustus. What do you say? History is a theater written by victors. I was a soldier before I was a politician, loyal to Kaiser above all. He taught me to look beyond the Senate's rustling chains, to imagine a Rome that ruled the world. When he died, a blade in every rib, I swore vengeance, but vengeance makes poor mortar for an empire. And Cleopatra? Was it love or politics? Both. She was the last true monarch of the old world, a queen of stars, not scrolls. Yes, I loved her, but I also saw in her the fire of Alexandria, the knowledge, the legacy of the pharaohs. Our union could have forged a new order, east and west, mind and might. But Rome was not ready. Some say you abandoned Rome for her. I left a Rome that was already being reshaped by Octavian's cold ambition. I fought him not just for power, but for soul. He was marble. I was flame. He promised order. I offered passion. Rome chose the safer tyrant. Your end was tragic. You took your life at Actium afterward. Do you regret it? Would you ask the tide if it regrets receding? I had lost. My fleet shattered, my legions scattered, my queen surrounded. In death, I chose dignity. It was the last thing left to me. My final act was to die as I lived, by my own hand, not another's. Where is your spirit now? Do you rest? Rest is for those who need peace. I drift between ruins and memories, sometimes beside Cleopatra, sometimes apart, We are not bound, but neither are we wholly sundered. In the afterlife, love is not possession, but residence. That's a very interesting sentence there. One last question. If the world could hear you now, what would you say? Rome's greatness was never in her legions, but in her contradictions, power and poetry, order and chaos. I was not her worst mistake. I was her necessary dream, one she woke from too soon. He then left me. I decided to go for one more bonus interview. And you may be interested in this. Cleopatra mentioned her son Cesarion. Her son was fathered by Julius Caesar. So he became a threat to Octavian, later to name himself Augustus, because he was the natural born son of Caesar. And as such, he represented a very real threat to the power of Octavian. And, well, he had to be dealt with. At any rate, we really haven't heard from him in history, so I decided to go ahead and see if I could interview him. So this is an interview with Cesarion, the last pharaoh. I appeared in a cool, quiet, candlelit chamber, somewhere between time and eternity. I sat across from a figure draped in linen robes trimmed with gold. His bearing was regal, but not haughty. His youth preserved by the strange alchemy of the afterlife. He was Cesarion, or Ptolemy the 15th, Philometor Caesar, or Kaiser, the son of Cleopatra the 7th and Julius Caesar, and the last pharaoh of Egypt. His eyes were a mingling of Mediterranean green and Nile-born black. They regarded me with both curiosity and melancholy. Cesarion, history barely records your life, only your lineage and your tragic death. How do you see yourself? As a whisper between two storms. My mother was a tempest of intellect and empire. My father, a whirlwind reshaping the world. I was meant to be their union made flesh. Kaiser born in Egypt, Egypt reborn in Rome. Instead, I became a symbol, then a threat, then a memory. You were executed at 17. Did you know it was coming? Yes. After the Battle of Actium, when my mother and Mark Antony's fleet was broken, we were all good as dead. Octavian, later Augustus, was a man who understood symbols. He could not let Caesar's natural son live while he fashioned himself as Rome's heir. How did you die? Octavian ordered a soldier to strangle me. My last thoughts before I died were of a soldier's large, rough hands around my neck. I'm sorry that happened to you. It was over quickly. There were many in those times who experienced a much longer and more painful death. Well, that was certainly true. Your mother is often remembered as a seductive, manipulative, brilliant. What was she like as a mother? She was many things, but above all, she was fiercely maternal. She taught me languages, diplomacy, astronomy, and the rituals of Ma'at. I remember her laugh, echoing through the palace gardens, and her voice when she spoke to the stars at night. She would point and say, "That one is yours, my son. Claim it before Rome does." Did you ever meet your father? Only once, as a babe in Alexandria. He held me, I am told, and called me Cesarion, or Little Caesar. It was a name both affectionate and political. He never officially acknowledged me in Roman law, but he did in his heart. His will was complicated. My existence was inconvenient. If you had lived, what future did you imagine? An empire were born, not the conquest of one by another, but a fusion: Greek wisdom, Egyptian soul, Roman discipline. Alexandria as the new Rome. I dreamed of a library that would eclipse all others, of temples and forums united by marble and papyrus. But the world was not ready for synthesis. It preferred conquest. What do you think of Octavian, or Augustus? He was brilliant, cold, precise, inevitable. He built an empire that endured for centuries, but in doing so, he had to erase me and all that I might have been. He won the future. I am its shadow. And now, beyond life, what have you found? Peace. Not as a ruler, but as a soul. Here I am no threat. The afterlife is not like the politics of earth. My mother is near. Sometimes I walk with her through the fields of reeds, and we talk not of Rome or thrones, but of stars and memories. If the world could hear you now, what would you want to say? Remember me not as a boy king or a casualty of empire, but as a possibility unrealized. I was born from two worlds, and perhaps one day someone will succeed where I was cut short, uniting power with wisdom, empire with mercy, and legacy with truth. Thank you for meeting with me. As the light dimmed in the chamber, Cesarion rose. He bowed, not as a prince to a subject, but as a soul acknowledging another. Then he turned and walked toward the riverbank, where eternity flows silently, carrying the dreams of the forgotten toward a dawn that history rarely sees. Well, if you liked those interviews, I thought they were extraordinary. Please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds, subscribe if you haven't already, and please, you must have questions and comments about these interviews. I'd love to read them, as I'm sure everybody else does as well. This is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.